Imagine earning $200,000 a year or $15,000 a month and living in the back of a truck. So, a while back, I read this story about a kid named Brandon who was from Massachusetts and he got an internship at Google in California. So, during his internship, he realized that the cost of living in San Francisco was gonna be really expensive for him. So, after his internship took place, he went back to Massachusetts, but Google gave him a full time offer. Brandon then accepted that, and when he moved to California, he decided not to rent a place, but he bought a truck and built the back of it into some sort of room where he would live in. And he would basically park this truck in the Google building. And I thought it was a really interesting story because this just comes to show how you can have a really high income, but if you don't really take care of your finances and understand where your money is going, you could definitely end up losing it very quickly. There's a couple things that I really wanted to speak about the story. First of all, engineers at Google make a ton of money. I think the average is around 150 to 300K for software engineers at Google. So he was probably gonna make a decent amount of living. Obviously, in California, you probably have higher taxes and a higher cost of living, but still, I think he was gonna be able to get by with the salary that he was offered in Google. So it's safe to assume that he was making at least 150K from this job offer that he got from Google. And the first piece of knowledge that we can get from this story is that it's really important to specialize in some sort of skill in order to find really high income paying jobs or high paying clients that are willing to pay a lot of money for what we know how to do. Because I always talk about making money online on the internet in this channel, and there's a lot of different ways to do that. You could find a job, you could have an e-commerce company, you could offer your services of some sort of professional skill, and all these things require some sort of specialty, some sort of degree in knowledge within that field. So this is a clear example that specializing in something and knowing very well how to find these roles is something that's very valuable. So the first thing to note is it's really, really important to find that skill, to find that industry that you're interested in, and really look into what people or businesses are looking for in the high paying roles. That way you at least know what the things that you have to learn in order to get there, because a 15K a month job isn't simple to find and to get, especially nowadays when when there's just so much opportunity to learn new skills with the internet, with artificial intelligence and all these things, right? So that's the first thing. I think it's really important to specialize in some sort of skill to find a high paying job. The second lesson from this article is knowing how to budget our own finances, because it's very easy to start financing stuff and to buying things with money that we don't have, and that lifestyle adds up really quickly. We start having payments that are harder to cover, and that can really take a toll in the lifestyle that we live. Managing our own budget and managing our own finance is extremely critical to finding some sort of financial freedom at some point in our lives, because we could be making all the money, we could be making even more money than that. Maybe someone is making $20,000 a month, and at the end of the month they'll be like, oh, I'm barely getting by, or I'm living paycheck to paycheck. That's because their lifestyle is just growing and increasing in price as their income has been growing. So that's the second thing that I really value from this article, was that Brandon actually calculated how much money he was gonna save in rent payments, and he was like, nah, I'm not gonna do this. I'm actually just gonna live in the back of a truck. I don't have to commute in the mornings, and I'll just have to walk into the office and work from there, and not spend any time or any money in things that are probably a waste of time and effort and money. So I thought that was a really important thing that is shown in this article. Knowing how to optimize for keeping as much money as possible, making as much money as possible, and removing just shit from our daily lives that doesn't add up to anything and that basically takes away from our quality of life. Who likes to be stuck in traffic all day? I bet almost no one likes to stay stuck in traffic, and that was a clear example why this kid Brandon was like, I'm just gonna live here, I'm just gonna save a bunch of money and not waste time. And then he also talks about saving money to invest in his future and to retire earlier. So I thought that was also really important, because we don't really do the math on how much money is needed before we retire, and to actually understand what it takes to have a lifestyle of freedom. It could be a lot more or a lot less than what we think, but just thinking about that and planning upon that is something that probably a lot of people don't even do until they're in the later stages of their life. But when you realize that this is a thing that you should be paying attention to, then that makes a whole world of difference, and you can start taking decisions that are going to optimize towards your future. But yeah, those are just a couple thoughts I had from this article. I thought it was really interesting because you don't always hear stories about this, but that's one of the cool things about living in the US and having a high paying job, is that you can build a life that maybe is gonna suit you and it's gonna be optimized for whatever it is that you want. There's obviously many distractions and a lot of things that require our attention, and probably where we spend money that we don't have, and we finance stuff that we don't really want, and that really takes a toll in the lifestyle that we have. But this is a clear example of how cool it is to be able to learn a skill, to find a really high paying job, and to basically build some sort of life that is enhanced for your happiness and for your overall well-being. So I thought that was really cool, and I think it really goes with the theme of the things that I speak about in this channel, which is making money on the internet and personal finance and self-improvement. So it was a really cool thing to read, and I'm sure we can all learn something from those types of stories.